Okay guys, so this is going to be me trying to record the process so I can stick it on YouTube for us to go back and review as we make masks. Sorry it took a little extra time, and please ignore all the Bobos in the background because he can't seem to help himself. And I saved this one because it's a lighter directional fabric, so I think it'll show the markings well. This one's going to be for Go-Go. So we start off within, and you can't, my markings on this are dumb, but this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of fabric. So the size of a piece of paper. Here's just a random piece of paper for reference. And then, so your exteriors are 8.5 by 11, and then an 8.5 by 9. And this is so that when we eventually get these all lined up, see, it doesn't add any extra fabric to the casing when you're trying to do the edges of the mask. So that's why the liner's a little short. One of the videos that I pulled part of this from had used the same size fabric doubled over and then cut an inch off either side. I felt like that was a waste and a pain in the butt. So I just went ahead and adjusted the measurements so that we could do it this way. So first step, cut out your 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 9. And so if you're mass producing, obviously you just want to do a whole bunch of those at once. And then what I do, again, this is the way I do it. You guys obviously can adapt as you go. I have a template I've been using, so we flip it over. Make sure you pay attention to your direction. I actually like it. I like working with the top toward me because I feel like the top is what we want to make sure that we're aligning to. This has quite a bit of room for adjustment. It doesn't have to be perfect, which is weird for quilting, different from quilting. But I want to keep the top here so that I can keep that edge a little more closely watched. I was using my paper template, which is not next to me, my bad. But I went ahead and refined the pattern. Thanks, son. On video right now. And so I did it so that you can cut at the fold. So if you do it on a fold, that's fine. I just kept 8.5 by 11, and I'm using this just for markings. You've got your chin dart here, got a little mark here just to mark the center, and you got a little mark here to mark, and that's wider than it needs to be, but just make a little mark for where your nose wire casing starts and ends. And these are just reference marks for your pleats. So again, if you spread it out to a whole paper, probably it was you know, pretty nice to be able to do that. I might do a plastic one where it's the whole thing just for ease of use. When I make these marks, I have been using permanent because we're doing it all, you know, within seam allowances, so it's not going to show up anywhere. And then it's easier, and then I don't have to worry about ironing along the way or anything happening. So got that, got that. These are just showing fold lines for marking and sewing, but I found that having these references here helps when you go to line up stuff. Because at first I told Sean by using the pleat hack, I didn't think that we needed to do that, to add these in there. But at the end of the day, I find that when you're aligning your liner to it, it's helpful. So just do that, flip, do the other side. Let's find our middle mark there. Just make sure we're keeping it aligned the same way. There we go. Okay, apparently I'm going to mark up my template early. That's fine, whatever. There we go. And there we go. You can see, oops, aside from making sure it's lined up, I'm not being very fussy about it. It's really just reference marks for us. I found it makes it go quicker when I'm sewing, but you obviously don't want to spend a ton of time on that part. So after you have that part done, that's all the marking you should need to do, pretty much. You're going to flip it back over so you have your right side, and then line it up. I just make sure, again, those edges, we're all good, cool. I pretty much have this now where I'm doing pretty close to 0 pinning. We're just letting her rip. which is fine till you're tired. Then maybe not the best ever. I am still using black for this. I've been using black for all of them because it matches almost everything. Honestly, on this one, normally I'd change it, but I don't think they care. There is still some black in here, and it just has been the quickest, easiest way to go to just keep them all the same. So, I have, full disclosure, I sew all the way across this bottom edge. Let me see if I can pause and adjust this better. 1 second, so we can see the sewing part of this adventure. All signs are going to point to maybe on how well this goes, by the way. I've been having some problems with this little adjustable dilly dauber, so we're going to pause and do it. Hold on. Okay, so after disturbing interlude by my husband and getting this readjusted, we're ready to do this. So try to keep my hand out of there, but no promises. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, we're going to futz with this again. Okay, we're going to try this again for the getting the edges. We'll see what happens. So, like I started to say, is I actually do 1/8 of an inch on the bottom, and then I start all the way at the edge of the fabric because it gives you a nice line to fold and press on anyway. So it just is easier. And then easier to clip threads, easier for all of the above. So I have been doing this pretty quick at this point. So our speed mode is going to be enabled here. Once I get it on there and I'm hanging on to it, I just let it rip. Oh, I slowed my thing down again at some point. That's cool. We call that good. Hit that. Knock that off. And again, when you're chain doing them, you just do each step a bunch at a time. Sean is actually helping me in the other room right now and getting the others pleated. On this one, once it's sewn, then I generally, if I'm actually going over and ironing it, I iron the seam to set it. And we're out of the frame. Here we go. And my stuff's in the way. Here we go again. All right. There we go. See that okay, hopefully. So I'm just gonna finger press. Sorry if I'm moving y'all. See if we can do this without causing a riot. There we go. So finger press. Same with the little edges. Again, just gives you a nice little reference mark, so take advantage of it. And then you're gonna just flip it over and pull your liner up to the top. And that's where I use these little marks, those little reference marks that we used earlier for the edge of it. So you just want to make sure to bring them up, and if they're not even, like that one's not, I just split the difference so that they're visually aligned on the top with even distances from the little side markings. And we just push that back down. And again, this is where we would take it to the iron to pleat. So when we do that, I'm going to finger press it, and then so I can show you, and then I'll press it and come back and we'll finish. So on here, again, finger press. So when you go to do the pleats, that's kind of these reference marks. So to make your lives easier, ignore those for now. I just still put them on there for lining up at the end. You're going to fold all the way in half, exactly in half, and press. And then you're going to open it up, and using that line as a reference, you're going to go to the middle, and you're going to press that line. And again, you can, I told Sean, just pull them both up to the middle and then just press. And press the thing really good. Get your pleats in. And I'm not doing the smaller pleats because then when we're ready for construction, and I'll show it to you while it's flat, but then the idea is this pleat that we just did on the thirds is going to end up being the one that goes down in front. So you're going to actually, when you're ready to pleat, just kind of hold these where they're at and then fold down a 1/2 inch. And we're just going to do that with our hands and go, that's about a 1/2 inch. Good, pin. And then we're going to do the same thing here. That's our front one. There's about a 1/2 inch. Pin. So that's, I mean, the lines are there for you, but you don't have to use them. For me, it's, like I said, more about keeping this liner straight. We don't want that to get wonky. And then the same thing, this and that. And so then when we're done with that part, those lines give us a reference to make it easier for the pleating. If you pin as you do this, it should be about 4 inches, which you can't see terribly well, but it is. And I just moved them around because I didn't actually pin. So that's what we're doing. I'm gonna go officially press this one and I'll be right back. Okay, so after you press it, still like this, you're just gonna open it up and then you're gonna do the whole hot dog fold on it. See if you can, I mean, it's really, you've already got your one here. You can barely see here, a little triangle at the bottom. So you're just gonna fold it right sides together long ways, liner to liner, front to front. I just flatten it all out like that. That's why I kind of like having this with the lines here, because then I can make sure that's flat-ish. And then you just take your handy dandy little template and you can line it right up against this little tiny line here is your stitch line, right? So if you just put that's a 1/4 inch line, I guess I should say, but just mark up your edges, line it up with the top, because if you sew it off, you can see it there. So, but on the dart, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It just is the point to have a dart. So after you get that, oh my God, guys, my Sharpie just died in the middle of this. Why does it hate me? Okay. I didn't even know that was possible. Well, that just took the wind right out of my sails. I don't know where it is now. We're gonna pause again while Angie figures out her life. Okay. Sorry, like what's a good color? Maybe red will show up okay. Let's try red. No, it won't, because that's red. Ha, I'm a dork. Okay. Let's see. No, let's use silver real quick. Silver Sharpie it is. Good times. Yep. The point is just to see it, right? Okay. And then I'm not overly worried about, you don't have to flip it over and mark. What I'm going to do is just go sew. I'm just going to sew the V right here, just like this. And then we're going to keep moving. So 1 second while I move the sewing machine and find the other half of that Sharpie. Okay, ladies. Now that you have that, oops, I didn't mean to unfold it. I'm a dork. Forgot where I was. So I opened that Sharpie cap and the pen tip was back on there, and that was really weird. So now we are just going to, again, align, and we're going to sew right up against that. Let's see if you can, are you able to see that well enough? There we go. I just leave the seams down. I'm not trying to mess around with them. I just leave them just like that. Seems to be fine. Again, start doing a bazillion of them, you start looking for the quicker ways. Like up, all the way. And I just make sure that I'm at the seam before I pivot. And then we just I do lock these stitches because, you know, that's it for this pretty much. And then that. And then so trim the threads, and then I've been using the good old-fashioned pinking shears for this part. Let me come back out here. Nope. There we go. So what I do, are we all the way out? There we go. So now that you've got it sewn, honest to goodness, guys, I just fold it at that line, at the middle stitching line, making sure to match this right here, and then we just cut the tip off just like that. Oh, hold on, pinking shears don't like the thickest. Ah! You guys are getting all the fun outtakes here. That was good. Good times, good times. So shred it if you must, and then you're done with that part. Okay, so now that we got that little tip trimmed, when you open it back up, you can see the little cookie bite out of the middle there, little triangle. And then this is where we're going to open it, put it wrong sides back together, and you can see the forming of the chin pleat, just like pointed. So again, then we have the pleats. The order I've been doing them in actually is to do the top edge with the nose wire, and then do this inner liner folded down to match. So on both of them it's going to be a 1/4 inch down, and I just finger press, and then a 1/2 inch. So this is where we come into play with the top edge. And we've got those nice little edges marked on what that 1/4 inch should look like. Keep it straight. That'll help. And this one had a little extra on top because it's fraying just a tad. So I'm just gonna, again, press it. And at this layer, you can kind of still see the marks that you made. I don't think I actually marked the middle, but I didn't mark the nose wire. That was cool. Go me. So we're going to use our template in a second here. It's probably easier that way anyway, to be honest with you. So we have center marked. Go down another 1/2 inch-ish. Again, eyeballing happens a lot here. If you want it to be, I mean, I call it a generous 1/2 inch. It's really like 5/8 of an inch that I'm really doing, closer to that. And then get it all the way over. Finger press as we go. There we go. Okay, so for the purposes of our illustration, we're going to put it upside down, because I sew starting with as it's right side down. I start sewing on that right side because I am using, let's see if I can put it down and zoom in here, but this foot, a J foot, it's got that 1/8 of an inch, so I was showing her it. I use that middle mark on it. Oh, hey, there's my camera. I use the middle mark on the clear part, and I just go right along the edge like that with my needle in the left position. So you'll see it when we get going here, but so for me, that seems to be the easiest way to do it. You guys do you, but let's just get her marked. So what I want to mark here is where we're going to back stitch across, so we don't have to go back and do it as a separate step, which is what I was doing at the beginning, and it's not fun. I'll just tell you right now, kind of a pain in the rump. So just going to use this real quick, line up our edges, and it doesn't matter about where exactly, you just want it over that edge so you can mark it. Gonna go blue. Yeah, I'm batting 1,000 with my color options here. Now that we're not gonna iron this part anymore, I can use red because this is my friction pen, so I didn't want to obviously use that when we were gonna be ironing it still. But by the time this touches an iron again, if it does, it won't matter. So sorry about that. There's my red mark. So we're gonna start, and I'll show you. I'm gonna adjust a little bit, bring our sewing machine up so hopefully you can see it. See how we do this. So we're gonna, again, align to the middle. See if we can go in a little bit there. There we go. Try to, there you go. So we're going to start here. Even though technically this edge gets caught, I still like to lock stitch it. Just kind of have it at this point, you know? So again, really kind of like a scant 1/8 inch till you get to that mark. And then once you're at that mark, I just leave my needle down, raise the presser foot and pivot. And then we're just gonna go up to the top edge. And then we're just gonna reverse. when I first was doing this, I was doing that, opening, closing the casing after. And it was, you know, extra things to trim, more of a pain in the rear. I was also trying to sew it with the nose wire already in there, also a pain in the butt, and made my top stitching all crazy because you can see the stitching from the front, so you don't want it to be horrible. And then mentally, I'm just gonna figure out about where my little nose wire is gonna end. So if you figure it's gonna start there, you can get to where it's gonna end and just kind of make a mental note of your pattern, or keep your thumb there or whatever, so you kind of know. And then I go ahead and sew until I get to that point. Till about there. And then I go ahead and do the same thing and raise the presser foot, but leave the needle down. And that's when I go ahead and insert the wire. Look how much easier that is. And then you just want to go, make sure it's all the way down, because then you're just gonna push this down and go a couple stitches past it till you can clear it with your foot. And then I'm gonna do the same thing, needle down, pivot, go to the front, top edge, back stitch across, and then turn it. I think I might need to go one more back. I did. That happens a lot. I try to count them mentally, but you know. And then we're just gonna sew the edge, do the same thing, back stitch, and trim. This has been one of those things where I just, close enough is good enough. All right. And so then what you're going to do on your top edge, or your liner edge, sorry, fold it in a quarter. Again, I just use my fingers and kind of eyeball it. Doesn't have to be perfect. All you're looking for is basically a rolled edge on this one. You're just going to go down about another half. Finger press, and then I just kind of let it go out a little bit. I just kind of use my hands to gauge if that's about, you know, the right. Just kind of want to roll it enough that it's going to match up. As long as that matches up when you pull it, it should be good. So this is one time where I usually, when I'm trying to straighten this out, we'll just go ahead and put a clip down. Like I said, I pretty much don't use them very much anymore, but for that I do, just because it helps, because then you can go to the other side, because sometimes they're not perfect. Like this one, seems to have a little bit, but looks pretty good there. Pulling it pretty straight. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll put my little clip there. And then, sorry, I actually didn't mean to clip the top in there. My bad. There we go. We're gonna just sew that down real quick. And I do the same thing. I want to sew close to the edge on the inside. Make sure that we capture that. So on this one, I actually align this left edge of the fold. See if we can get that left edge of the fold against the edge of the presser foot. So, like so. I said so. And then I just use that visual edge there to tack it down. All right, so we're gonna take a second and then pull this back out of the way to do the pleat part. I'm gonna trim this while I've got it open. So again, like what I like about doing the casing that way, and not, I mean, it's just so much easier and faster, but then you're good and there's no going back and having to like trim stitches and all that stuff. I count that as a win. So now that we've got that done, this is the one area in the thing where I actually use pins. And they just work better than clips or anything else. Again, exception, I do use, before I get started, to kind of help keep it aligned. Back to the same thing, like just keeping my sides. That's what you don't want. And this thing gets squirrely because now it's on a curve with the dart in it. So I just try to keep them. And if it's not perfectly aligned here, like this actually looks like it's ended up just a hair above, I still line it up and then just kind of fudge that into the pleat somewhere along the way so that they're not sticking up weird. And I try to put it in enough that I can just sew once I have it pinned with them there. Same thing on this side. Line up, looks decent. You can see it's not exactly at those lines, but it's pretty darn close. So same thing, go in a little bit and clip. And that'll hold them in place while we do our pleats. So start with your top one here, kind of see that pleat line, and we're gonna pull it, and then that 1/2 inch, and I keep that liner lined up there too, and we just go here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a pin in. Got my technical term. So the ones we're doing right now are going to be liner to liner. So that one's already there. Again, that's going to be your down pleat on the front. So you just like, see, nice and neat, kind of hold it straight. And I'm not trying to go all the way across. I'm trying to do one side and then the other. So got that lined up. See, I'm kind of using this on the inside here as my mark. This mark we made earlier to kind of press, finger press. So same thing. Now we're going to go ahead, see if we can do it this way better. There we go. So I do like the lay and flat. And again, we know it's going to end up around 4 if we did it right. So if you have it laid on here, like I just lined it up at 4 on the top, and we're just going to do that for the second little dude here. And then the same thing. So I had him do thirds. This is off just a little bit. It doesn't matter. It'll be fine. Nothing to stress about. It's just that I would go with the pleat that we've ironed, because again, that's, you know, quarters of the actual thing, and then just fold it about visually a 1/2 inch. And this is where your chin dart is, so I just use my finger and thumb to kind of hold it straight and let this do whatever it's going to do. Nobody cares. So you're just going to make sure that's there. I'm going to go ahead and pin it, and then I'm going to check on my overall length and see if we're about 4, which we're pretty close to, and it's pretty straight, good enough. We're going to call it good. I'm going to do the other side the same way. And like for the purposes of illustration, I don't know which is less confusing for you guys, but we've got that first pleat, we're gonna go, and that's pretty much on the line, so we're just gonna use the other line that's on the inside to make the 1/2 inch, working on the liner side, keeping it straight, laying it down if you need to so you can see it better, to pin it. Again, once we get to the middle, we let it be as wonky as it feels like it has to be to survive in this world. But just keep your edges as close as you can. So next pleat is not exactly on the line we've drawn. Again, no worries. You're just gonna fold it in, but then you kind of go half and keep your 1/2 inch in here. So about like that. Flatten, pin. And you guys know how much I do not like to pin things in my life. So just trust me when I say it's worth the 2 seconds to pin these. And obviously when you're doing a bunch of them in a row, they can go a lot quicker. But it definitely makes it stay better while you're trying to get them sewn down. And if I were a smarter person and not thinking about just displaying them to you, I would have put them the other way so that, you know, less chance of them getting in the way when we get there. But what I do first is go along the outside edge. I just go 1/4 inch on the outside and 1/4 inch in from the seam on this side, and do that on both sides. So that way we have, because once you actually sew just in by the liner, if you just sewed that one and not the outside, it still stays kind of floppy like this, and you're going to fold it and folded it again for your casing. So I feel like the line of stitching helps it stay down, but then it also helps give you something to start your fold on too for the casing. You see, because again, wovens are getting a little frayed. It just seems to make it go a lot more smoothly, in my opinion. Again, if you mass do these, my darling husband, like, you know, cut up all the little garden ties for me, so they're ready to go. That made it super easy. Right now, he cut out all the middles for me. So, hey, your guys can help. I mean, Deb, knowing you, your kids would actually help, but I don't have those children. I have kids that are out of the way. That's all I can say. One's asleep, one's downstairs. The one that got all mouthy earlier was like, really, sir? So now we're just gonna go, like I said, 1/4 inch. I'm not bothering top stitching these because it's really just like a stay stitch or like a basting. So only thing is they do like to kind of wiggle, so you got to be careful to not pull them when you're trying to help guide them and keep it straight. Not saying that's ever happened. Why would that ever happen to me? And I have actually lengthened my stitch for these two. I didn't this time, but I have done it. Now this top one, I am just going 1 stitch back just because I'm gonna keep it going and do it like patchwork. And I'm gonna put it down under here. And again, this is the other way, so I'm just kind of leaving about another 1/8 so we get to 1/4, and then we'll just pull as we go. I'm gonna move my little tray over here that I can throw these pins in as we go. Again, it's kind of held, so I feel pretty good. We can just kind of rock on, and then I just look for reference points. Like, see, now that I did that, that kind of lines up there. It gives me something else to visually look at while I'm trying to go down the line and keep it somewhat straight so it doesn't get all wonky. And it really is nice that this is fairly forgiving. This seems to be pushing up a little bit, so I'll just stop every once in a while and raise my presser foot and just make sure we're all staying nice and flat as much as possible. Same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to actually go all the way to the end for the first one again, just to kind of get it going, and I think it holds better than when I'm taking the pins out personally. But, oh, guys, I didn't see you kind of fell. Oh my gosh. Hopefully you're seeing this okay. Let's do this. Try that. This is an imperfect system we're using here. Okay, let's try that. There we go. So again, tries to kind of wiggle around a little bit. There's probably some great hack for this too that I don't know, but I just kind of hold it and try to keep my fingers out of the way. That is my big secret. Ooh, I know, groundbreaking. Try not to stick your finger under the needle. 101. Oh. Oops. Yeah, it worked. I've done this before, I swear, guys. It's a true story. Now we're on this way. This one's trying to wiggle a little. Got it. Hold it down. Start our engines, as it were. So like most of the first set that I did totally had the pleats going up instead of down. I was like, well, great. Luckily nobody else knew either, and they were just happy to have masks. That's all fine. But, you know, on a personal level, I was irritated when I figured it out. Like, stupid pleats. Pleats are a pain in the butt. But, honestly, this does seem to be the quickest, easiest way to get them done for me. Get them done. So now we have it pleated. We're largely done with the thing. All we have to do now is the casing part, which, again, we're going to fold like that and then fold over again, basically. Nope. So we're really almost there, and then have a mask completed. So I'm going to pause while I grab the cording for this one and be right back. Okay, so I got this side pin because I was checking something out. I don't know if you guys have these little bias turner things. It's like a long metal loop. So the way that I have been sewing these have been like the one instructions where you lay them down before you sew them, but no kidding, that makes it a lot longer to try to pin them and get them. This thing, I just tested it out to make sure, but if I push that through, it hooks the paracord just fine, so that's going to make production way quicker. So all I did was on this side, I'm just going to get right into this side and sew it, and I'll show you. So 1/4 inch again from earlier, so we're going to fold those down, and again, just your trusty fingers. And then we're going to fold over, and I am folding so that that 1/4 inch is at the middle, like this stitching is in the middle of that 1/4 inch. And what that's going to do for me is just hopefully if I sew on that same line, it will catch it, right? That's the theory. So we're going to fold it over, so that's where it hopefully needs to be. This is, oh, so remember my whole, like, this should be fold over. That's a raw edge, so we're going to take a quick second. I love this seam ripper, but I hate that the sides aren't marked, so I'm constantly opening both sides when I need one or the other, the little awl or this. I'm just gonna hit that real quick to open it up so that I can make sure that it is folded down the correct way, because we don't want that raw edge to be in the way. So we're gonna fold this way, and we're gonna fold over. I just tuck any little stray strings that I can in there and make sure it lands in the middle like we talked about ish. Again, we're not going for perfection, but we do want to catch it. And then this is the other area where I usually will actually just use a clip. Seems to be easier. So this lighter fabric is showing the marker through it, but yeah, whatever. I don't think it really matters. But you do get into the pleats on the side, so I just try to keep that as straight as I can. Hopefully you sewed the front straight. If not, well, you know, things happen. This one's not exactly perfect, but I just try to keep it, I want the end result to be as straight as possible, so if that means I don't sew exactly on the middle of that, whatever. So be it. We're just gonna clip it right back in and keep going. It's fine, totally fine. So a smarter person than me might actually make sure that they try to get their clip in far enough to grab the edge, because that's the whole point of what we're trying to do here. It'll be fine, totally fine. That's what I keep saying over and over again. It's fine, totally fine. Let's see, this one is going to end up being just while I'm messing with it, I'll have to take this out when I go to put it under, but I just want it to hold better than it seems to want to do right now. So again, I don't like to overly pin, but for this one I'm going to for a second, just to make sure we have it good and straight, fairly straight. And the middle is doing weird things again, so like I said before, I just kind of ignore that part. And then we're going to go in and sew the one side. Oh, I put needles in or pins in while I was trying it out. Let me fix that really quick. Thank God I have a program that I can cut all this extra stuff out of there, because seriously, running commentary, everybody's favorite, randomness while they're sewing. Let's get this in here. this in ready to go. Hopefully this is, there you go. Again, I'm lining up the edge here with the middle line because my needle is in the far left position. This is where I will get out that little awl I was talking about on this, whatever pointer thing you use, and I just kind of sometimes use this to make sure that it stays tucked. And then I usually will push the nose dart in and just kind of ball this up in here. You've got the nose wire in the front, so it's not perfect, but it kind of helps keep everybody in line while you go down. And yeah, then we're just ready to do it and be pretty much done with this one. Yay! Guys, my husband said something about sewing to help. I was like, what? I can tell you this because he's outside the garage. But he's like, so you said that white's ready to go, right? Oh. So that's crazy. This particular machine, not a super fan of going over the pleats, but it's a trooper and it's been hanging in there with me. This is the one I'm eventually probably going to give to GoGo. But gosh darn it, it's just so easy and portable. It's hard for me to just knock it out of my list because, like, when I'm coming to Debbie's or whatever's happening, just, you know, it's easy. Easier to cart around. So then that's all done. And I did tell him when he gets back, I'm just going to have him help with trying to, what were the words I used? Interesting. I had words. Yep, sure did. Okay, anyway, I was going to have him trim all the things for me after I get the rest of them that we have to deliver today done. He's going to actually go and trim all my loose threads before I do this pleating part. So, yay, husband! He's been super, guys. I mean, I know you're surprised. He's awesome. But really, I've been extra grumpy between the hours I've been working, and I'm just not in a good place in my head. I don't know. And I don't mind. I really do want to help friends and family with these if I can. It's just work has been so stressful, and not knowing if I'm going to have a job, feeling like I have to do absolutely everything I can to get Tom some money from our projects, and that's a lot, just been a lot of extra stress. So I've been super grumpy. And he's been working long hours, so I don't have his backup like at night to help with stuff as much. And Connor has been stepping up as far as helping make dinners and, you know, help with stuff like that. But it has been, like, I don't know. I just thought this would be so much better after I started the new job, and when it didn't work out that way, you know, it's been a little bit of a mental struggle for me. Full disclosure. So I'm working on it, working on my attitude. But I know our families will love these and appreciate them, and it just really sucks to feel like your whole weekend's gone, or like you have no sense of time anymore every spare second you've got. And I know you guys get it. I know you feel the same way. You guys are both still working too at trying to get stuff done. So that's why I feel like I can tell you my whininess. All right, so look guys, done. Awesome, amazing. We're incredible people. And then on this other side, we're just gonna take this little loopy thing. So if you don't have one, oh my God, get you some. I have been using paracord mostly now, and because you can get it at Walmart still, in their home improvement section. I had this pink one. There aren't as many I can use pink on, but since this actually has pink in it, I'm gonna go for it because GoGo won't care. Because I got a ton of it at, I think it was the Habitat for Humanity Restore like a long time ago, because I was like, I'm sure I can use this for something crafty, and I haven't. And so then this came along. But this little Turner dude just seems to grab this okay somehow. Oh, now it's not going to do it because I'm on, you know, with you guys. I don't know. I have not used one of these. So if you have, you're probably laughing at me right now. But a second ago, it worked perfectly when I tried it before. Of course, I think I'm supposed to put the whole thing on there, but that seems obnoxious. Maybe that is how that's supposed to go. All I know is it's supposed to grabby. How did that work before? I think, oh, there, it just snags it if you do it right. That's all we want to do is just snag it. Oh, come on. Bob's your uncle, you can do it. Come on, buddy. Come on, snag for me. Snag for me. Oh, shit. Okay, so this is a section entitled How Angie Cannot String Paracord to Save Her Life. That's cool. I like that story too. That's fine. There we go. Ha ha ha. Like, it worked seamlessly, except I just did that totally wrong. God dang it. Okay. loose end comes out of the top, so we can knot it. I guess it depends on how you want to do it, honestly, but that seems to work the best. I've thought of different options. One of the things I want to try is doing a sliding knot for them instead of just having it loose, and somebody could kind of just string it to tie it. Why is this going to be a pain for me? I don't know why. I don't want to help me right now. Come on, guy, you can do it. Anyway, I don't think that's important for the purposes of the tutorial, other than to say, at this point you're done. I guess the important part is I may have to go safety pin on this sucker. I'm getting caught in the pleat somehow because I am special. There we go. I thought it was quicker. Well, you know why it's going to be quicker? Because my husband's going to do this part for me because he's awesome. He said he would. He's like, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'm like, cool. Thanks, babe. And then that will make it faster. There we go. A little bit of a learning curve for some of us. That's fine. It's important to pay attention to your pleats. Who knew? So the idea is then I can just sew them, and as long as I make sure to not make the little channel too narrow, he should be able to string them and we'll be good to go. So might have to just reseal with an iron because I see that grabbing it kind of frayed out a little section of it, like right there, but that's okay. We'll just make sure that it's trimmed, and then I threw the lighter over here for him. We'll just fire. The hardest part was finding a lighter, by the way, because I have some for candles and I just have a couple around the house now, but with without Sean sewing, it's not as good. All right, so the idea that I was talking about, not that at the end, so now it won't go back through, and then we knot the other end, and that's going to happen either way. But I was reading, like I was thinking about those slider bracelets that you used to have, and you just tighten them up. There are different ways to do it, but it looks like if we use a different kind of cord and go around the middle, then that would just be like the slider part, so then you can slide it to adjust it. I think that might be so much easier than trying to tie them. What do you guys think? All right, so now I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna try to edit it real quick and get it uploaded so you guys have it. Love you.